You know what? He makes some crazy decisions. Like he had you in this kind of position where he had your back, and rather than just tripping you like this,
he kept trying to pick me up and slam me.
Yeah, and getting like a top position and holding it. He was just picking you up. It's some like bad fight IQ.
No, that's what we said going into it, lad. Obviously, he's explosive, he's fast, but his fight IQ is not good.
Yeah.
All right, so I was just given a much needed reminder on why I love making fun of Michael Chandler so much. It's because it's so damn easy. And Tom Aspinall's newest video on his YouTube channel is yet another instance in a long list of examples of actual UFC fighters making fun of him too. It's pretty validating to see his own peers and colleagues being so vocal about criticizing him, whether it be for his laughably bad fight IQ, his incessant cheating, or his seemingly fake persona. This guy is a goldmine when it comes to providing material for ridicule, and as easy as it is for internet nerds like me to make fun of him, I think it says a lot about him that other active UFC fighters are so quick to call him out as well. Because maybe besides Colby Covington, Chandler seems to be the most publicly mocked fighter by other fighters, both in and out of his own weight class.
He throws from like here, swinging. Everything he does, he's picking up full blast. It's just, it's mad for someone who has that many fights. I'm just surprised.
When you look at his Instagram, lad, all he does is hit pads and do S&C.
Yeah.
All he does. Hit
Old
pads,
school.
rope things, tire flips, bike, ski egg, you know what I mean? He doesn't really do any MMA training, lad. Well, it doesn't look that way anyway.
Admittedly, this isn't even close to the worst thing that a UFC fighter has said about Michael, but for Tom and Paddy to go into such detail about how he has room temperature fight IQ and then post it to the internet is hilarious. They really could not care less about preserving this guy's professional image, and I love it. Also, Paddy brings up a really good point here. We only ever see this guy hitting pads or doing strength and conditioning exercises. And of course, just because we don't see something doesn't mean that it's not happening, and obviously videos of him hitting pads is better content to watch than situational drills, but I really am questioning how much Mike's training regimen is dedicated to actually increasing his knowledge of fighting. He fights like the most athletic caveman in the world, and after the videos that I've made about him, it is really nice to hear these guys that have way more of an understanding about fighting than I do call him out for his terrible decision-making in the octagon.
He's one of the guys that is very smart.
Very smart, yeah. He lost 3 fights, very smart. To fight McGregor. Very smart.
Michael Chandler fights like he doesn't know how to read, and if you don't believe me when I say that he has terrible fight IQ, then maybe you'll believe the UFC heavyweight champion of the world when he says it. And you know what? It might not just be Mike's fight IQ that's lacking, because shortly after what Tom said began to spread online, Chandler tweeted the following. Didn't that big goober say this like 3 years ago and then waited as long for John as I did for Conor after he criticized me for waiting for Conor? Cool. Yeah, Mike, I wouldn't really say that this is the logical checkmate that you think it is, buddy. Is this guy seriously trying to say that Tom waiting for John is somehow the same thing as him waiting for a fight with Conor? Oh my god, this dude's so dumb. Aspinall didn't even willingly wait for Jones. He was basically forced to sit around and then defend his interim title because John was avoiding him like the plague. Also, I wouldn't even say that Tom was waiting for John as much as he was waiting for his very deserved title shot. Mike, on the other hand, was not waiting for a title shot. He was waiting for a money fight against a guy that hasn't been a contender for a very long time. Look, I know that Chandler's been hit in the head more times than he can count, given he can probably only count to like 7 max, but there's no way that he thinks that these are comparable situations.
What's your deal with Chandler?
No, it just comes down to like the guys that always have the, you know, the tattoos that say blessed on their chest or some sort of God like thing on their body.
Well, there's only 2 guys, him and John Jones.
Yeah, whatever. They're, you know, they're just not the most realistic people when it comes.
Like fake.
Very. I know personally, firsthand, he's very fake. People that I know are good people, like Benson Henderson. Friends, everything like that, until the fight thing came up, and then it was like big, and Benson's like, he's the biggest, fakest motherfucker I've ever met.
Interesting.
And Benson's like one of those guys, he loves everybody.
Yeah, he's such a
He's such a fucking great guy. I don't care what you people think of his fighting style, you know, all that stuff. He's a fucking great guy. A person, you know? And so when someone like that comes on and just backed up what I said, I'm like, I get it, man.
Okay, can someone please find me a fighter that Mike doesn't train with that actually has any good things to say about him? Because outside of his teammates, I don't think I've ever heard anyone speak highly of him. Man, what I would not give to know the things that Thompson knows that leads him to believe that Chandler is fake. But even without hearing the details, at least from the outside looking in, I can totally see it. I've already discussed in a previous video about how forced and disingenuous his entire persona comes off to me. His holier-than-thou attitude, the long motivational speeches he breaks into for no reason, and his humble yet somehow at the same time larger-than-life image just reminds me of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and I do not mean that in a good way. But the fact that Thompson, who fought in Bellator at the same time as Mike, and I'm sure they've crossed paths multiple times, is so adamant in saying that he's a phony makes me feel much more confident in my opinion of him. I have no idea what happened between them to make Thompson hate this guy so much, but I don't even think I need to get all that creative with it. There is just no way that a guy who's so obsessed with convincing people that he's God's gift to the world is as perfect as he seems.
Why do I dislike him so much? It comes back to this. Long time ago, I was at a Bellator event.
Okay.
He was fighting on the card. He won. He comes in the back. And I've been seeing you walking around this week with so-and-so. I just wanted to come over and shake your hand. I respect you so much, man. Your career has been awesome. You've had so many great fights. You've come back from adversity. You and your wife, your foundation, everything you got, man, it's really amazing. So nice to finally meet you and shake your hand.
Right.
Fast forward a year, 2 years, or whatever, he makes it to the UFC. Now he's talking trash on me. And then I saw him in Vegas. He was coming into an event at the T-Mobile Arena, and that's the first time I saw him since.
Right.
So I said, you little bitch. I said, he walked in front of the security starts. I said, man, you're a fake motherfucker. I said, I will beat your ass.
I seem to be noticing a trend here. That being said, I guess I'm not all that surprised at how Chandler tries to bend his image, seeing as this guy bends the rules in the cage all the time.
I mean, I think it's a sign of weakness when you start talking about a guy cheating. The most interesting one to me was Justin Gaethje. You know, like Justin Gaethje's a savage and like calling me a cheater. I'm like, dude, you know, come on, man. Like it's a little bit of a sign of weakness, but either way, things happen in there. The fans aren't gonna like everything that you do. Fans aren't gonna like you 90% of the time anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay, but Mike, you do cheat though. You visibly cheat at a higher rate than any other active fighter that I can think of. And the amount of weirdo cope from Mike here is insane. Him saying that it's a sign of weakness for guys like Justin Gaethje to call him out for cheating is straight up delusional, seeing as Justin beat him.
You know, I think it's blatant fouls. You know, like hitting people, a lot of the Michael Chandler shit, pretty much everything he does, immediate point taken away. You know, smoking people in the back of the head.
Gaethje said this about Chandler after they fought, so how is it a weakness to call out a guy that you beat for cheating? You know, if Dan Hooker or Tony Ferguson came out and called Mike a cheater after they lost to him, then I'd have an easier time agreeing with him, but when the guys that you lose to call you a dirty fighter after the fact, then call me crazy, but maybe you should consider what they're saying a little bit. Justin does not benefit at all from saying this, but he does it anyway. Why? Because he's pissed off and annoyed at this guy for being a serial cheater. There is nothing wrong or weak about calling out a scumbag for being a scumbag. What is weak, though, is Mike deflecting any and all accountability for his actions by saying, oh, it's a fight, shit happens, which in essence is true, but the rate at which Mike commits fouls is way higher than any other fighter on the roster right now.
Can I ask you a straight up question? Is Michael Chandler a cheater?
Bro.
Dog, seriously.
He's a competitor. I think...
Does he break the rules? In the octagon, does he cheat?
Yes.
His finger ended up in your mouth and he pulled.
Oh, dude.
His finger ended up in your eyeball.
Dude, I bit him so hard. Yeah, no. He cupped the top of my top teeth to pull my head up to get a choke in.
Come on, Dustin.
Mike will poke his opponents in the eyes, he loves to punch guys in the back of the head, he grabs the cage, he grabs the gloves, he will literally do anything besides fight smart in order to win. Chandler loves to fall back on the excuse that fans watching the sport will never understand that in the heat of the moment these mistakes will happen, which I agree is true to an extent, but dude, you are a professional fighter. You kinda have a responsibility to not only know the rules but actually follow them as well. Side note, I don't understand how people try to pull the Dustin Poirier is a sore winner card after he beat Chandler. Like, was his anger not justified? He dug his fingers into his mouth, hit him in the back of the head numerous times, and even blew his bloody nose onto Dustin's face, and people expect Poirier to just be fine with that? I mean, it's definitely a good thing that Dustin was able to pull out the win, even in spite of Mike's cheating, but for people to hold the way that Poirier reacted after that fight was over against him is just crazy to me. Chandler pulled out every dirty trick in the book, and people expect Dustin to say it's water under the bridge, and then of course there was his rematch against Charles Oliveira, which in my opinion has to be one of the dirtiest performances in UFC history, and this is when other fighters really start voicing how often he cheats.
Mas faz parte, eu não vou criticar. A lot of shots to the back of the head, some eye pokes in there.
Now, it's one thing for Chandler's opponents to complain about his cheating, but how about other fighters who are watching his fights in real time? Because during the 5th round of this fight, you had fighters like Billy Quarantillo joking about how Chandler was given a free pass to land back of the head shots. Then there was Sadiq Yusuf who said if Chandler ain't cheating, he ain't trying. Then he followed this up with, wow, what a crazy twist. 56 shots to the back of the head, but hey. Arnold Allen asked, did the ref not see all those to the back of the head? Jessica Penne, are we not calling strikes to the back of the head anymore? Finally, we have Alan Jouban saying no warnings for the back of the headshots. And sure, these complaints are as much of a criticism of the refereeing that night as it is a criticism for Mike's dirty fighting, but still, the guy's dirty as hell to the point where his own peers are calling him out for it. And seeing as by this point this was his 3rd fight in a row where he committed multiple egregious fouls, I think it's understandable for guys like Billy and Sadiq to turn Chandler's weasel antics into the butt of a joke, seeing as we all know he's going to do it anyway. What does it say that when fighters that aren't even in his division or his gender start saying shit like this about him? Is it a sign of weakness when retired fighters and women call you out for cheating? cheating, Mike?
He hit me with about 4 punches in the back of the head in the first round. You know what I mean? Nothing even got said to him. But you never know. He might have kicked me on purpose because he needed a little break. So because of that, when he kicked me in the balls, it was a flush kick as well. It was me dick and me balls was still hurting when I said let's go. But as I say, I knew he was tired. I could see he was tired, so I was like, I'm not giving him this breather.
At the end of the day, when it comes to Michael Chandler, the opinions of guys like me who've never met him and only watch him on TV means nothing. But when almost all of his peers have nothing good to say about him, then I feel like that should say a lot. And whether or not you believe this guy is fake or real, dumb or smart, a cheater or clean, I do think it's very telling how these professionals drop all professionalism when they speak about him. Anyways, that is the video for today. Definitely let me know what you think about Mike. Is he a good dude? Is he a cheater? Or is he just simply misunderstood? As always, if you like the video, then like the video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
I think that Michael Chandler is a coward wearing the facade of an entertainer. I think that he doesn't actually mean the things that he says. I think that he is, I want the greatness and I want the... No, you don't, dude. No, you don't. You want to pretend like you're this big entertainer. Go fight Paddy. I don't even like Paddy.